Welcome back to Beemaster 79. Today we are looking at three structures that English learners mix up constantly: prefer, and would rather. All three talk about preferences, but they follow completely different grammar patterns. By the end of this lesson you will know exactly which one to use and exactly what comes after it. Here is the plan. First, the form of each structure, then the difference between the little words to and than, which is where most errors happen. Then why would rather is followed by an infinitive with no to. After that, an advanced pattern that examiners love. I would rather you didn't do that. We finish with 6 common mistakes: pronunciation, an IELTS speaking model answer, and 8 practice questions for you. Start with the big picture. Prefer on its own describes a general preference, something that is true about you in general.
I prefer tea to coffee.
Would prefer and would rather describe a choice on one specific occasion, right now, tonight, today.
I prefer to stay in tonight. I'd rather stay in tonight.
Those last two mean almost exactly the same thing. Would prefer is a little more formal and polite. Would rather is a little more conversational. The real difference between them is not meaning, it is grammar, and that is what the rest of this lesson is about. Structure 1. Prefer on its own. 3 things can follow it. A noun,
I prefer the aisle seat.
a verb ending in ing,
She prefers cycling.
or to plus the infinitive.
He prefers to work from home.
Both the ing form and the to form are correct after prefer, and they mean the same thing, so there is nothing to worry about yet. The trouble starts on the next slide. Here is the pattern you must memorize. When you compare two things with prefer, the linking word is to.
I prefer tea to coffee. I prefer reading to watching television.
Notice the balance. Noun to noun, or ing form to ing form. Whatever is on the left of to, the same kind of word goes on the right. And please write this in your notebook. We never say prefer something than something. After prefer, the comparison word is to. This single point is probably the most common preference error in learner writing. There is a second way to compare with prefer, and it uses a different linking phrase. If you begin with prefer plus to plus a verb, you continue with the phrase rather than, and then a bare verb with no to.
I prefer to travel by train rather than fly. She prefers to cook rather than eat out.
Listen to the second verb again. Fly, eat, no to in front of it. Learners very often say rather than to fly, and that extra to is wrong. So 2 patterns, 2 linking words. Prefer something to something, or prefer to do something rather than do something. Structure 2. Would prefer, usually contracted to I'd prefer. The key point is simple. Would prefer always keeps the word to before the verb.
I prefer to leave now.
It can also take a noun.
I prefer a window seat.
For the negative, put not in front of to.
I'd prefer not to talk about it.
And here is a useful advanced one. If the other person is doing the action, name them and keep the to.
I'd prefer you to arrive early.
That is a very polite way of making a request in English. When you compare with would prefer, use the full phrase rather than.
I prefer to stay in rather than go out. She'd prefer to email him rather than call.
Again, the verb after rather than is bare. Go, not to go. Call, not to call. One small note on the third example. With nouns in everyday speech, rather than is perfectly natural after would prefer.
I'd prefer tea rather than coffee, thanks.
What you should avoid is using them on its own after prefer or would prefer. Keep the two words together, rather than. Structure 3. Would rather, and this is where the grammar changes. Would rather is followed by a bare infinitive, a plain verb with no to in front of it.
I'd rather stay in.
Not I'd rather to stay in, just I'd rather stay in. For the negative, put not directly after rather, and again no to.
I'd rather not answer that.
That, by the way, is a beautifully polite way of declining a question in English. For questions, move would to the front.
Would you rather wait outside? Would you rather wait or come back later?
If you remember only one thing from this lesson, remember this. Would rather is never followed by to. Now the comparison, and here the linking word flips. With prefer we said to, or rather than. With would rather, the linking word is simply than.
I'd rather walk than take the bus. He'd rather study alone than join a group.
Look at the verbs on both sides. Walk and take, study and join, both of them bare, both of them with no to. And notice we do not say I would rather walk rather than take the bus. The word rather is already in the sentence. We just need them. Now an advanced pattern, and this is the one that impresses examiners. Everything so far has been about you. I would rather stay. But what if you want somebody else to do something? Then you name that person, and you use the past simple.
I'd rather you didn't smoke in here. I'd rather she came on Friday. We'd rather you paid in cash.
Now, look carefully. Didn't, came, paid. Those are past forms, but none of these sentences is about the past. They are all about now or about the future. This is what grammar books call the unreal past. It is the same feeling as I wish you didn't smoke. The past form creates distance and politeness, not past time. Learners very often say, I'd rather you don't smoke. That is the error. It must be didn't. And if you truly want to talk about the past, about something that has already happened, add have plus a past participle.
I'd rather have stayed at home last night.
Meaning, I went out, and now I wish I hadn't.
She'd rather have taken the earlier train.
And if it is a different person in past time, use have plus the past participle.
I'd rather you hadn't told him.
So, to keep the two apart, past simple, like didn't, is for now and the future. Have plus past participle is for real, finished past time. Here is every pattern from this lesson on a single slide. This is the one to screenshot. Read down the middle column and you can see the whole story. Prefer takes a noun, an ing form, or to plus a verb. Would prefer keeps the to. Would rather drops it completely. Then read the right-hand column. Prefer compares with to. Prefer to do and would prefer compare with rather than. Would rather compares with than on its own. And the last two rows are the advanced ones. Would rather plus a person plus a past simple verb for now and the future. And would rather have plus a past participle for a real regret about the past. Six mistakes. If you fix these, your preference sentences will be clean. Number 1. I prefer coffee than tea. Wrong. After prefer, the word is to. I prefer coffee to tea. Number 2. I'd rather to go home. Wrong. Would rather never takes to. I'd rather go home. Number 3. I'd rather stay in than to go out. Wrong. The verb after than is bare. I'd rather stay in than go out. Number 4. I wouldn't rather go. Wrong, and it sounds very strange to a native speaker. The negative goes after rather. I'd rather not go. Number 5. I'd rather you don't call me. Ron. Different person means past simple. I'd rather you didn't call me. Number 6. I'd prefer leave early. Ron. Would prefer keeps the two. I'd prefer to leave early. A quick word on pronunciation, because these structures are full of small sounds that learners either miss or overdo. First, the verb prefer. The stress is on the second syllable, prefer, not prefer with the stress at the front.
I prefer to.
Second, the contraction, I'd rather. That D is very small and very fast, but you must produce it. Without it, the sentence is simply ungrammatical.
I'd rather stay in.
Third, the word than is almost always weak. It sounds much closer to then than to than.
I'd rather walk than take the bus.
And fourth, would you blends into a single sound, something like would ya.
Would you rather wait outside?
These transcriptions are British English received pronunciation. Let us put all three structures into one IELTS speaking answer. Examiner asks, do you prefer studying in the morning or in the evening?
I generally prefer studying in the morning to working late at night, mainly because my concentration is sharpest before about 10 o'clock. That said, if I've got a deadline the next day, I'd rather push through in the evening than get up at 5. Early starts absolutely finish me. And honestly, if I had the choice, I'd prefer not to study at weekends at all. I'd rather keep those 2 days for my family.
4 structures in about 80 words. Prefer something to something for the general habit. Would rather something than something for the specific situation. Would prefer not to for the polite negative. And would rather again to finish. An important note on honesty. Where this channel labels an answer band 9, that is BMaster 79's own assessment against the publicly available IELTS band descriptors. It is not a certified examiner score, and the speaker here is invented for teaching purposes. Your turn. 8 sentences. Pause the video, write your answers down, and then continue. Number 1. I prefer swimming, blank running. Number 2. I'd rather, blank stay at home tonight. Number 3. She'd prefer, blank not go to the party. Number 4. I'd rather you, blank not tell him. Number 5. I prefer to cycle, blank drive to work. Number 6. I'd rather walk, blank take a taxi. Number 7. Blank you rather have tea or coffee? Number 8. I'd prefer, blank leave before 6. Pause now. Take your time. Here are the answers. 1. I prefer swimming to running. Prefer compares with 2. 2. I'd rather stay at home tonight. A bare verb with no to. 3. She'd prefer not to go to the party. Would prefer keeps the to and not comes in front of it. 4. I'd rather you didn't tell him. Different person, so past simple. 5. I prefer to cycle rather than drive to work. Because we started with prefer to do, we need the full phrase rather than, and then a bare verb. 6. I'd rather walk than take a taxi. We would rather, just than. 7. Would you rather have tea or coffee? Would jumps to the front. 8. I'd prefer to leave before 6. How many did you get? Tell me in the comments. 4 things to take away. 1. Prefer to be. Never prefer than be. 2. If you start with prefer to do or would prefer to do, the comparison phrase is rather than followed by a bare verb. 3. Would rather takes a bare verb and compares with than on its own. 4. If somebody else is doing the action, use would rather plus that person plus a past simple verb. I'd rather you didn't. And if you only remember one line from this whole lesson, make it the third one. Would rather never takes 2. That is the full picture of prefer, and would rather. Practice in the comments. Write me one sentence beginning, "This weekend I would rather." I read them. If this helped, subscribe for more IELTS writing, speaking, grammar and collocation lessons. Thanks for watching Master 79. See you in the next lesson.